Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. And my name is Dan and FPL is live for the new season, which means you guys get to go and make your own teams. That's exactly what I've done today. I've built my first draft for the new season. Really excited to share it with you guys. If you're excited about the new season of FPL 2, please do make sure you like the video and do subscribe if you want more FPL content to help you do really well in your mini leagues and overall in the world. So guys, I'm so excited. Let me show you what I have come up with as my first initial FPL draft for the new season. Okay, with unlimited transfers, I have made a team today worth 99.5 million, which saves me 0.5 in the bank, just in case I need to make some emergency transfers in Game Week 2 or Game Week 3, and I might not find myself with the exact budget to make those moves. Having that 0.5 million in the bank is something that's really useful, and something that I am definitely considering doing for this season. Let's work through this team, starting off in goal with Emi Martinez. Now, I was looking through the goalkeepers and thinking, yeah, there's a lot of options actually, a lot of options I quite like, but one that did stick out to me was Martinez, because not only has he kind of got some nice defensive fixtures like Everton and Burnley where you expect him to keep clean sheets, but he's also got games like Newcastle and Liverpool where I do think a team like Aston Villa, who were really good at keeping clean sheets at the end of last season, maybe there could be some save points here as well. And Martinez is obviously a really world-class goalkeeper playing for this Aston Villa team, who I think are going to have an extraordinary season this year. They're already making some really nice signings. They've got Pau Torres in the door, which is going to be absolutely brilliant for them, help them be better, even better defensively. And I feel like Aston Villa could have an amazing season, really make a European push this year once again, but even more so this time. And Martinez is going to be in goal for that, making saves, only 5 million. We've seen how well he's done in the past in FPL, and I think he can do it again. So really like this pick at a nice cheap price. Even though all of the fixtures aren't perfect, I have enough faith in this Aston Villa team that we can get some clean sheets, we can get some save points as well. It's going to be pretty nice. In the defence, we're going to pick Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I know a lot of people are going to be put off by the fact that he's 8 million, but remember guys, Trent Alexander-Arnold is essentially a midfielder that gets 4 points per game for a clean sheet, because, you know, he plays in midfield in this new Liverpool system. He's moving all the way up, and he ended last season so well. And not only that, Liverpool started picking up clean sheets at the end of last season, which is something that I expect them to take through to the new year as well. We've got Chelsea up first, then Bournemouth, some tough fixtures after that, but in general, what we like about Trent is, yes, you have the potential for clean sheets, and they were coming in over and over again at the end of last season, but you have that attacking potential, you have the set pieces, you have so many little strings to the same bow. So Trent, even at 8 million, I still think he is a player who I am really hoping to have in my team come Game Week 1. I very much doubt I will go for any other Liverpool defender. Trent is just so far above all of the other guys. My next defender is going to be Pervis Estupiñán, coming in at 5 million. I think that essentially makes him an essential player for Game Week 1. I think this is going to be a player who absolutely have to pick a real serious bargain at this kind of price. It's really nice indeed. We know he's a super attacking left back, and he does take shots, he does create for his teammates, he does kind of overlap and underlap on that left hand side in the Brighton attack. And Brighton are a team who not only ended last season so well and really proved themselves as a top team, but they're also a team with phenomenal fixtures. Luton Town first, Wolves up next, so a lot of people are kind of wondering whether maybe Wolves are maybe going to be relegation threatened this season. We've got West Ham at home after that, and some really nice fixtures in general for Brighton. So a great defender, likely to keep clean sheets against the likes of Luton, Wolves, and even West Ham, to be fair as well. And I think he's going to do so well, make a mockery of that 5 million price tag. I was expecting him to be 5.5 million, so now I know that he's 5. Just like so nailed on in my team. I really like this pick a lot. And finally, in defence, we have got Gabriel of Arsenal, and I do want an Arsenal defensive player in my team somehow. And I could either go for Ramsdale, that is definitely an option, or I could go the Gabriel route. Now, the problem is with Ramsdale, I was kind of looking through the fixtures and I kind of thought, are there going to be that many save points available here? Maybe I could switch out Gabriel for Ramsdale and go for a slightly different defender here. And I still might do that. Remember, it's day one, you know, it's day one of a launch. We've still got over a month before we need to finalise our teams, and a lot of things are going to change over the next month. But right now, in my initial instinctive thoughts, was to go for Gabriel. And one of the reasons for that is because not only are these lots of opportunities for clean sheets, but also Gabriel at 5 million, Very, very good price for a top team defender. That is a really good price. He is super nailed on. He's going to be playing every single game, unlike the fullbacks at Arsenal, which we might see them rotate a little bit. But Gabriel is also awesome for set pieces. He is that main aerial threat in the Arsenal team, and we've seen Arsenal do very, very well for set pieces, and I want to get lucky, you know, and sometimes you've got to position yourself to get lucky, and the only way you can do that is by picking players who do get these, you know, random goals, and corner headers and things like that are random goals. But if you put yourself in that position, you pick a player who you know is an insane aerial threat, who can also keep clean sheets, and plays for a team that actually does score a decent amount of goals from those set pieces as well, you kind of are putting yourself in a really good position to get those points. So I like this as a differential to Ramsdale. Not 100% sure I'm going to go through with it. I'm just saying, I like it right now. Moving into midfield, we have got Bukayo Saka, who is, of course, another Arsenal player with some really, really nice opening fixtures. And the reason I like him so much is because, one, he's on penalties, and two, his underlying numbers were so good last season. And I know a lot of people will look at Martinelli or Ødegaard, and Saka and Martinelli's kind of attacking output is kind of similar. Both of them are ahead of Ødegaard in that regard, even though Ødegaard got more points in the end last season. Saka's underlying numbers were a lot better, but Saka's also on some of these corners. He's also on penalties as well. So when you add all of this up, I think he should, in theory, outperform those other two players. And I do like Martinelli as well at 8 million, but I'm going to go for Saka right now because I know he's super nailed on for minutes. You know, he's going to be one of Arsenal's main attackers, right, in terms of minutes. Penalties, great stuff. An improving player. Remember, he's so young as well. He's going to get better with every season. So I think this is going to be another one of those players that I'm pretty confident is going to make my Gameweek 1 team, particularly with these fixtures and the generous 8.5 million price tag. I expected him to be 9 or 9.5. He's not. He's really cheap. Next up, Bruno Fernandes, another player who I thought was going to be a little bit more expensive than this. But how can I resist Bruno Fernandes at 8.5 million? I mean, I paid 9.5, 10 million for him last season. So surely I can pay 8.5 for him in this season. We've got Wolves up first. Spurs up next after that. Spurs obviously are going to be a much more attacking team this season and may struggle to adapt to the new system in the immediate term. So there might be an opportunity there for the Manchester United guys. We've got Nottingham Forest after that as well, which is quite nice. And because of this 8.5 million price point is so good, and there's so many players around 8 million to 9 million, if we want to remove Fernandes in Game Week 4 before he plays Arsenal, we can definitely do that. We can definitely afford to do that and move him to some of the other guys. There's plenty of other options around that price. And Fernandes, to start off with, is a super safe player, incredibly creative, takes a lot of shots on from inside the box, from outside the box, on set pieces, taking penalties. There are so many avenues for him to get points, and he was kind of unlucky not to get a lot more at the end of last season. I thought he was playing really, really well, and I thought he had a really good season that didn't always translate into FPL points, but a lot of the time, it actually did translate into FPL points as well. So, yeah, 8.5 Fernandes is definitely someone who we should all be looking at. That is a really, really bargain price for him. Next up, Phil Foden, a little bit of a risky one. And guys, if you've watched my videos before, you will know I do like to take a risk or two in my FPL teams. Sometimes it goes very well, sometimes it doesn't, but it was always fun, that's for sure. And Phil Foden is a player who I think is often very, very good at the start of the season. And whenever he plays, whenever he has minutes, he is one of the star kind of attackers, not just for Man City, but in the entire Premier League, in the entirety of FPL. And with these fixtures we have for City, Burnley up first. We've got Sheffield United also within the first 3 games, 2 promoted teams. We've got Fulham after that, and some really nice fixtures going forward as well. If Foden can get some starts, he is going to be not only super differential because people won't want to take the risk on him, but he will also be picking up a lot of points. Now, Foden, I think he's got a better chance than usual of starting games this season, and one of the reasons for that is Gundogan leaving. So Gundogan has left the team. We've got the potential for Mahrez to potentially leave as well, or be maybe phased out a little bit. We do see Mahrez playing a lot of Champions League games. At least we've seen that in the past. And Foden has kind of been the Premier League guy, particularly in the early stages of the Champions League, in the early stages of the season. And therefore, Foden He's got an additional position to play now in midfield. He can also play on the right wing. He can play on the left wing if Grealish isn't out. He's very versatile, can play in a multitude of positions. And this is his time, really, to get a lot of game time. He's getting too old to keep being on the bench, particularly with the skill set he has, the talent that he has. So this could be an unreal differential, and I don't think too many people will be going for him. Next up in midfield, we've got Kaoru Mitoma, who is the Japanese maestro, who I think has replaced Solly March in my thinking. I thought Solly March would be slightly cheaper than Mitoma. It turns out the Japanese man is exactly the same price as the English man. So I'm going to go for Mitoma because he is just such an exciting player to own. He's got phenomenal fixtures. I mean, this Luton Town at home game, first game of this season, you get the impression that there might be a few goals in that for Brighton. And if so, you know, we know the kind of players who are going to be involved in that. Yes, March had the slightly better numbers last season, but also March has proven to have slight injury problems. And with Brighton going to be in European competition, it may be a little bit riskier going for March. And maybe this is the safer route to go for. So love the fixtures, love the player. Very exciting player to own. A player with phenomenal talent that does seem to be improving and improving. And that's another thing I think is important as well. I want to pick improving players that are going to do better than last year rather than players who are, you know, maybe kind of plateauing or maybe phasing out a little bit. I want to go for the future, and this is what I believe Kaoru Mitoma is. And we're going to finish off the midfield with Brian Mbeumo, a new position for him. He was a forward last year, but now he is a midfielder, which is ironic because last year he was playing primarily as a winger, as a midfielder. And this season, with Tony injured, he's going to be playing as a striker. And Mbeumo, when Tony is not playing, is a different beast. He is the main man. He's the main attacking man. He is a guy who is on penalties as well. So we've got another penalty taker in my team. We're collecting penalty takers at this rate. So if we get a few penalties in game week 1, it's going to be very, very, very good. Also, I like Mbeumo a lot for his price, 6.5 million. It's very nice. Love these fixtures. And like I said about Spurs earlier, even though Spurs is not such an easy fixture and that may put a few people off, we are expecting Spurs to line up in a much more attacking system that they don't quite have the right personnel for currently, and they will need to adapt, and it's going to take some time, and there may be a few mistakes, a few slip-ups, a few kind of bad situations for Tottenham Hotspur over the first month or so of the season whilst they adjust to this new era, really, of football, because they're changing a lot from how they were playing before. So that is going to give another opportunity for a player like Mbeumo on the counter-attack to do very well, to get the odd penalty, to, you know, take some shots. He's really improved his finishing. Again, I really like this pick at that price. It's really, really a good bargain. Going up front, guys, we've got Erling Haaland, 14 million man. And, yeah, it's expensive. It's very, very expensive indeed. But it's worth it. You guys know it's worth it. Everyone is going to pick Erling Haaland anyway, even though he is expensive, because we can captain him pretty much every single game week. Looking through these fixtures, guys, Burnley, Sheffield United, Fulham, even that Newcastle game, we saw Newcastle concede a few goals at the back end of last season. You look through this and you think Erling Haaland is going to have an insane start of the season. And if it's anything like last season, how well he did there, breaking the goal scoring record, can he do it again? Can he break it again? Well, he's a young player. He's improving. This Man City team is improving. Everything is pointing towards Erling Haaland having just as good, if not an even better season than last year. And if that's the case, he is absolutely 100% worth the 14 million price tag that he commands this year. So don't need to talk about that one too much. I still think he's well worth it. I'm not even considering going without Erling Haaland. I can tell you, unless he gets injured between now and game week 1, he will 100% be in my game week 1 team. I'm telling you now, he is going to be in my team. Next up, Gabriel Jesus, and he completes the first 11 of my team. 8 million this season. Not such a bad price for him. I do want to get another Arsenal attacker in my team somehow, and given the forwards are probably a little bit more underwhelming than maybe some of the other positions. Like, there's loads of midfielders that I love. In the forward position, there's a few. I like Nkunku, but I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to take the risk on a Chelsea attacker until I can see them. I need to see the evidence of Chelsea improving. Even though I love Nkunku as a player, not quite sure I'm ready for that one. I like Cody Gakpo at Liverpool, but the fixtures are not quite good enough for me to want to go for him. There could be a little bit of rotation for Gakpo as well. And also, the goals for Liverpool are spread out quite a lot between various players as well, which kind of leaves us with Gabriel Jesus. There's a few others there around a similar price point, which is, again, Another thing I like about Jesus is that there's a lot of other forwards I could potentially go for. If Jesus doesn't work out, there are transfers I can make that can remedy that situation very, very easily. It's a really nice price point. I can hop to Watkins, I can hop to Mitrovic, I can hop to Nkunku if I want to, I can hop to Gakpo. There are so many forwards, Wilson, Isak, that I can go for from Jesus, and that's another reason I really like him. He's a nice little placeholder and a very good player as well. Started off last season really, really well. Then he did get injured, so there was some trouble there, and then Arsenal kind of fell out of form a little bit. But Jesus was always there or thereabouts, putting up some really decent numbers at the end of last season, even though it didn't always go well. But yeah, Jesus in this new Arsenal team that is building, it's looking better, new look midfield, improving constantly with a young squad. Jesus at the head of all of this that's going on at Arsenal right now. That to me is exciting. So he is going to be in my initial Game Week 1 draft. Onto the bench, guys. We have got Areola at West Ham. He's only 4 million this season, and Fabianski is out of contract. So we could see Areola becoming the main starting goalkeeper for West Ham, despite only costing 4 million in FPL. That's the minimum price he can be. So a great way of saving a bit of budget there. We've got Rico Henry, who plays for Brentford again there. Like we can kind of see, Brentford do have some good fixtures coming up, and Henry actually rotates really nicely with Gabriel. So when the Arsenal guys have bad fixtures, we can rotate out Gabriel with Henry if we need to. That's no problem whatsoever. A 4.5 million defender there, who I like. There's other options. I like Botman, Sven Botman as well. 4.5 million looks pretty good. Could potentially go for him. We've got Amari Bell. He plays for Luton, and he's just 4 million, despite the fact that he is a starting left wing back for Luton. So we've got an attacking defender playing for a weak defense, granted. But yeah, super bargain there, guys. And yeah, when we're looking to minimize the amount of money spent on the bench, which is something I do every year, and a lot of the top FPL managers do the same thing. Try and spend as little money on the bench as possible. And when you can get a starting 4 million defender, that's always a good thing and always a good player to pick in Game Week 1. And finally, we've got Semenyo on the bench here as well. He's a 4.5 million forward, and he goes last on the bench. Now, he didn't get too much game time last season. He joined in January, but he is a player with potential. He's a player that Bournemouth spent 10+ million on. So a player that obviously they are, you know, thinking of phasing into the starting 11 one way or another at some point. He's obviously a player they have faith in. He did very well at well, pretty much this year, well, last year and the season before in the Championship as well, scoring goals, getting assists there. So I think overall, I think he's going to be a decent player who could potentially come good. Not sure. Still a young guy as well. Let's see what happens with Semenyo. But for a 4.5 million forward, he's probably the best option right now. The other guy I've got my eye on is Folarin Balogun. I don't know if you guys have seen, but Folarin Balogun is at Arsenal. He's a 4.5 million forward. Right now, if he gets a move to another Premier League team, he could potentially be a starting striker for a West Ham or someone like that. And therefore, Balogun would go straight into my bench, right? 4.5 million forward who's actually starting for a Premier League team regularly. That would be insane. But yeah, we've got Semenyo for now. Maybe time to tinker with some of these bench options a little bit as we do a little bit more research. But that's what the next month is for. Now, we are missing a couple of players in my team, guys. You may have noticed that there's no Salah, there is no Kane. And both of these players are very expensive, as you guys know. And it's actually very difficult to fit them in, and Erling Haaland, and have Trent Alexander-Arnold in your team as well, and have some of these really nice midfielders. So at a certain point, guys, you are left with a choice. And if you want a Salah in your team, or if you want a Kane in your team, that's absolutely fine. But it is going to come with a lot of sacrifice. And for me personally, if I'm spending, 12 million plus on a player, I want them to be a player who I am regularly captaining. And when I look at the opening fixtures for Man City, the first 6 fixtures, I'm going to be captaining Erling Haaland every single game week anyway. So in that sense, there's really not much point for me personally to spend all of that cash on a super expensive premium player that I can't even captain. So there we go, guys. That is pretty much my first initial draft. There will be changes over the next month, and I will be updating you with my latest thoughts on my team, as well as many other videos looking at differentials, bargain players, and ranking players, and all other stuff like that. But for the final thing for this team, we do need to put a captain's armband on a player. And we are going to put it on Erling Haaland. I feel like I kind of alluded to that. We're going to captain him pretty much every single game week with these fixtures. Like, you kind of have to. Anything other than that it's going to be a very dangerous game to play. And after starting last season without Haaland, I'm not sure I want to take the same risk this season. We're going to have a vice-captain on Saka as well. I think he should have a good start against Forest. That's pretty nice there indeed. And that concludes the team. 99.5 million spent. It looks like a really, really strong team for the start of the season. A couple of tinkers to come over the next month, but for now, hey, I really like the start of this. This is a really good start. I'm really, really pleased. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Can we shoot for 1,500 likes on the first official FPL video of 23-24? I would love it if that could happen. Do subscribe if you want more FPL content. There's going to be so much more over the coming month or so. It's going to be insane. We're going to give you all of the FPL information and opinion that you need. Make sure you guys are also checking out Fantasy Football Hub. I've left a link to them in the description where you can get a discount on your subscription. I use Fantasy Football Hub all the time in order to kind of look up stats and compare different players. It's just like the ultimate fantasy hub, I guess. Like everything Fantasy Premier League you need is all in one place. They've got so many different tools that are super, super useful that can really help you out. And guys, one more thing before I disappear today. We have got a new mini league code. So if you were in the mini league, the FPL Mate mini league last year, you should have automatically joined by this point. But if you haven't, you can check out the new code, which I've left in the description. So go check that one out as well. But that's it from me today. I need to crack on and make some more FPL videos for you guys. Until then, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.